Hello, boys and girls. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope the rain didn't keep you awake last night. And we're going to dive right into what we need to do today. And we are going to start with our vocabulary because today is Wednesday, which means it's Story of the Week Wednesday. Okay, so we are still learning about our social studies topic of patriotism and learning kind of all about our country and our country's symbols and things like that. So today we're going to read another story that surrounds the same topic. But first we're going to introduce our vocabulary words. And these are the words that we're going to see in our text today. And as you hear them, I want you to recognize them because right now we're going to do a preview of the words you're about to hear. So when you read, what happens? You hear that word and you say, oh, we just talked about that. And then you can make that connection. Very good. So right behind me here, you can see all of the words we're going to focus on today. Okay? So the first word, this yellow word at the very top, is archives. Archives. Can you say archives? Good. And archives are places where public documents are kept and stored. So there are a lot of documents, a lot of files, and there's no way one person could keep them all together, right? So archives are kept in places like libraries or city buildings. And they're places where documents are kept and stored because documents are important to go back, right? Good. The second word we have here, and I'm going to highlight it so you can see where we're at, is challenges. Challenges. Challenges are things that are hard to do. Not everything is easy, right? Maybe you had a challenge on some of your spelling tests. It was tough to do. A challenge. Challenge would be singular. Challenges would be plural, more than one, right? Good. Let's go to the next one. Say declaration. Declaration. A declaration is an official announcement. So if you're declaring something, you are saying, yes, this is absolutely what I think, what I feel, what is true for me. An official announcement. So when we say the Declaration of Independence, I'm sure you might have heard that before. That is an announcement that we're free. Okay? Say declaration. Moving on to the next word, equality. Equality. Equality means being equal and having the same rights. Okay? Being equal and having the same rights. Equality. Having the same opportunities and having the same rights as the person next to you. Equality. Repeat. Equality. Good. The next word you're going to see today is figure. Figure. Figure has a couple different meanings, but in our story today, figure is a person who is regarded in a specific way. That kind of confuses me. Figure, a person who is regarded in a specific way. A figure in our story today means someone that you see that's of importance. So Barack Obama was a historic figure because he was one of our presidents. Because he is our president, he is a historic figure. Okay? Maybe you think of LeBron James as one of our very most famous and best sports figures. We know he's a sports player, so he's a famous figure. Good. Say figure. Kind of a funny sounding word when you say it a couple times. Let's slide down. We have the word memorial. A memorial is something that honors a person who has died or an event where people died. So, a memorial celebrates somebody's life that might not be with us anymore, or maybe an event where a lot of people died. So if you've ever been to a funeral is also a memorial. You're remembering somebody's life, and you're honoring the life that they had before they passed away. The next word we have is monument. Monument. A structure that honors a person or an event. Have you ever seen a statue for someone or something? Yeah, that is a monument. It's a structure or a statue or painting or a piece of art that stands for something else. Okay, it could stand for a person. You might see a statue of a person, or you might see a statue of maybe a big plaque or a big flag that stands for an event that happened. Say monument. Good. And the last word we're going to focus on and see today is vault. And I think this word is kind of cool. Vault. A locked room where money or valuables are kept. So a vault. I think you see this a lot in movies. Big vaults full of gold coins, and they have to crack the code to get inside the vault, right? But people do have vaults where they keep things safe. So that is a vault. Say vault. Nice job. All right, so now that we previewed our vocabulary words for today, we're going to be seeing them in our story. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our story. And I'll be hidden for a moment. In the story today is our trip to Washington, D.C. I think you guys are really going to like this one. As long as I can get it up. Who knows or has been to Washington, D.C.? Has anyone been there before? Has anyone been to Washington, D.C.? While I'm getting this set up, I want you to think about that. If you've been to Washington, D.C., you may have seen some monuments. You may have seen some really, really awesome things. Yeah. I have not been to Washington, D.C. I wish that I have. Maybe one day. All right, finally. Thanks for being patient while I get this all moved around. All right, our trip to Washington, D.C. by Lane Katstoros, illustrated by Jane Lee Rektoff. So in this story today, we of course have our genre. What is our genre today? Realistic fiction. That means what? If you're in Miss Cheslock's class, you know to say realistic fiction. It's not real, but it could be. Realistic means it's kind of real. Fiction means fake. So this is a story about people, places, things, characters that don't really exist, but they could. Very good. All right. Let's read our essential question together. Why do many symbols of the United States appear in Washington, D.C.? So why are so many of our very important symbols in this Washington, D.C.? Why are they there? And we'll see inside the story where Washington, D.C. actually is. Go ahead and find the title of your story. Find where the author and the illustrator are. Good. And we are ready to read. Our brains are warmed up from our vocabulary, and we're good to go.
Genre: realistic fiction. Essential question: why do many symbols of the United States appear in Washington, D.C.? Our Trip to Washington, D.C. by Lane Katsaros, illustrated by Joanne Lou Vriethoft.
Preview with your eyes the pictures. I see some maps. I see a button, a sticker. Interesting.
What are you looking at, Mom? Asked Haley. I just finished the scrapbook of our trip to Washington, D.C., Mom said. Cool, replied Parker. Let's look at it, said Dad. This map shows all the places we visited, Mom said. We started here, said Parker. He pointed to the Lincoln Memorial on the map. That's right. We learned about President Abraham Lincoln, said Dad.
So what do we have here? Who can summarize this page? What is going on this page? What are they looking at? Go ahead and say it out loud. Yes, they're looking at a map here. Where is this map of? Washington, D.C. And in the story, it told us that Mom and Dad went there. Interesting. Now, they said they started where? Look for the keyword started in your text. Where did they start? Yes, right here it says he pointed to the Lincoln Memorial. And there's one of our vocabulary words. Let's check it out.
Memorial. Something that honors a person who has died or serves as a reminder of an event where people died. Mount Rushmore is an example of a national memorial. Memorial.
Very good. So in the story, they started at the Lincoln Memorial and they learned about President Abraham Lincoln. Let's go on to that next page. Ooh. More pictures.
The statue of him in the huge chair was awesome, Haley said. He looked like a giant. That's because he was an important figure in our past. He led our country during a time when the northern and southern states were at war, said Dad. The Gettysburg Address.
Interesting. So they're standing in front of the Gettysburg Address. That is a caption that tells you more about the picture.
He looked very serious, added Parker. He was serious, explained Mom. President Lincoln faced many challenges. He saved the country and helped to end slavery. He was also known for his great speeches.
Awesome. So who would you say this page is mostly about? What important figure that they saw? Who would you say it's mostly about? President Abraham Lincoln, yes, and they talked about how he looked serious and how he helped to end slavery. And he was known for what? His great speeches. Yeah, very interesting. Let's look. We know he was an important figure.
Figure. A person who is regarded in a specific way. A mayor is a public figure. Figure.
Good. So Abraham Lincoln was a figure. Our governor is a figure. Lots of famous, important people.
Challenges. Plural form of challenge. Something that is hard to do. Climbing a mountain can have many challenges. Challenges.
What were some of the challenges that Abraham Lincoln faced? That people wanted to end slavery and some people didn't. So he had to face those challenges in order to make everyone stay on the same page as him and like him. And he was also known for his great speeches. You might make a connection here. We've learned a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's read.
Do you remember the marker in front of the Lincoln Memorial? Mom asked. That's where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave an important speech, said Parker. It was called I Have a Dream, and we listened to it at school. I have a dream.
And there she is sitting right in front of where he did give that speech. And we've listened to that speech and we know that speech, don't we? Awesome.
And this is Dr. King's statue, Haley said excitedly. The plaque in front of the statue said he was a stone of hope. Dr. King fought for civil rights for all people. He represented hope for equality to a lot of people, Dad explained. Out of the mountain of despair, a stone of hope.
And that's what that statue is called right there. There's a couple pictures of Dr. Martin Luther King, one of his statue or memorial right? And another, maybe it looks like it was turned into a stamp, but it's a photograph, but it's illustrated, that our author and illustrator did for our story. So Dr. King fought for civil rights, and he represented hope and equality.
Equality. Being equal, having the same rights. We learned about equality and fairness during our field trip to the courthouse. Equality.
Good. Being equal, and that's what Dr. Martin Luther King was all about. Take a preview here. There's some more photographs from their trip. Now, what so far makes this realistic fiction? Why is it something that's not real, but it could be? Are these talking dogs and cats? No, these are real kids that went on a trip to a real place. So the characters in this story, and Mom and Dad, Parker, they could be real people, because what they're doing and where they're going, those are real places and real things. Right?
Mom turned the page. "Hey, that's the tall monument," Parker exclaimed. Mom smiled. "Do you remember who it was built for?" "Our country's first president, George Washington," replied Parker.
And do you see it back there? The tall monument. Now you know that it was built for our country's first president, George Washington.
"The Washington Monument is the tallest building in Washington," Haley added. "The elevator ride to the top was fun," said Parker. "I liked looking down on all the people. They looked like moving dots," Haley said.
Nice. So what is the tallest building in Washington? Go back in your text and find it for me. Look for keywords like building, tallest. Yes, it's the main focus of this page, or these two pages, the Washington Monument. You can see several pictures of it, one from far away. And I bet that this picture right here, next to my thumb, I bet that one is from when he said they went all the way up in the elevator to the top, right? That's pretty cool. So a tall view. Very nice. And then here's a view from kind of the outside in that red circle. And then another view all the way over them far in front. Nice.
When Mom turned the page, Dad chimed in, "This is one of the most recognizable buildings in Washington, D.C. "That's the White House," Parker said. "Our president lives there," Haley added.
And I bet you can make a connection. You've at least seen or heard of the White House before, because we've talked about it. And that is where the president lives. And there's the family in front of the White House. Again, if you and your family went to Washington, D.C., you could stand in front of the White House.
"George Washington didn't live at the White House," Parker reminded everyone. "He's the only president who did not live there. It would be so cool to live there. It has 32 bathrooms," Haley exclaimed, "and a movie theater, and a bowling alley."
Oh my gosh, my house doesn't have that. That's so many bathrooms. How many bathrooms? Go back in your text. How many? 32. That's so many. Guess how many bathrooms I have? 1. Pablo wanted to answer. So, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? It sounds very, very elaborate and beautiful. Who was the only president to not live in the White House? Back in your text if you need to. George Washington, yes, Dick.
Mom turned the page again. Next, we visited the U.S. Capitol building. "Do you remember learning that our government representatives meet there?" asked Dad. "Those are the people we elect to represent us in Washington, D.C., Parker added. "I liked seeing the inside, where the laws are made," said Haley. Me too. I also liked learning about the statue of the woman on top of the building. She stands for freedom, Mom said.
And you all know very well what that statue is, do you? It looks similar to another one, but it's not quite. What does it look very similar to? The Statue of Liberty, but that is not the Statue of Liberty, right? That is a statue that's on top of the U.S. Capitol building. So they look familiar because they are made out of the same material. Does anyone remember what the Statue of Liberty is made out of? Kind of looks like that coin that's worth 1 cent. Copper, it's made of copper, just like a penny. Very good. In this woman, just like the Statue of Liberty, they can make another comparison where they're the same. She also stands for freedom. Yeah, so they're right in front of the U.S. Capitol building here. Good. More pictures. Take a look with your eyes. Let's read.
We saw the National Archives as well. Do you remember what we saw there? Dad asked. That is where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are displayed, Parker said. They sit behind thick green glass, Haley added.
Good.
That's right, said Mom. The thick glass protects those important papers. Those papers are more than 200 years old. The papers are lowered into a vault every night to keep them safe, too, said Parker. The National Archives Museum.
Wow, so they do so many things to keep those very, very important items safe, don't they? Let's go back and look. It says we saw the National Archives as well. Remember, archives are things that are stored in a certain place to keep them safe, so that makes sense. And the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the things that our country was made with. Let's read them. Archives.
Archives. Plural form of archive. A place where public documents are kept and stored. Important records and reports are kept in archives. Archives.
Very good. Pablo's so loud. The next word we're going to read, declaration.
Declaration. An official announcement. I'm making a declaration today that I will run for class president. Declaration.
Good. And our last one on this page, vault.
Vault. A locked room where money or valuables are kept. The safety deposit boxes are inside the vault at the bank. Vault.
And that was a big vault in that picture, wasn't it? Good.
The Declaration of Independence said the United States was its own country, Haley said. And the Constitution explains how our country will be run, Mom added. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, and our early leaders signed it on July 4th, 1776, explained Dad. So that is why the 4th of July is our country's birthday, said Parker.
That makes sense. And then there's the two pictures there that show us. One, he's holding the Declaration of Independence. Maybe he's holding, is that the actual Declaration of Independence you think he's holding? No. But he probably wrote a paper on it or took it away to kind of get more detail about it. Good.
Our trip to Washington, D.C. was so interesting, Haley said. I want to see other important symbols of the United States, said Parker. Haley added, like the Statue of Liberty?
Very good. Now, why couldn't they see the Statue of Liberty on that trip? Is the Statue of Liberty located in Washington, D.C.? No, we know it's in New York City. We learned about that. So that's what Parker and Haley are saying, is they would like to see more symbols, so maybe they have to go somewhere else.
We should plan another family trip sometime soon, Dad said. Looks like I'll need another scrapbook. Mom smiled.
Great job. Good reading, even with Pablo barking in the background. Such a little stink. Great reading, great understanding. Let's answer 2 of these questions together, and then we're going to move on to our vocabulary.
1. What was the first landmark the family saw in Washington, D.C.?
What was the first thing the family saw? Now, if we're not sure, can we go back in our text? Absolutely. So let's do that. The first thing the family saw. With the keyword first, I know it's going to be at the beginning, right? So let's start going back. Maybe you remember. Okay, so we're still not quite back to the beginning. This is the first page of our story. Let's see, let's go back. This map shows all the places we visited. Maybe we should reread this page.
This map shows all the places we visited, Mom said. We started here, said Parker. He pointed to the Lincoln Memorial on the map. That's right. We learned about President Abraham Lincoln, said Dad.
So they started at the Lincoln Memorial. We went back in our text and found that, right? And here's where they're talking all about the Lincoln Memorial. Nice job. Let's go back to those questions as we flip through our text. Kind of take a look, preview again. Think about what we read about on each of these pages. There's the Declaration of Independence. Question 2.
What 2 things was Lincoln known for, according to the kid's mom?
What did Abraham Lincoln, what was he known for? I think we're going to go back in our text again. What do you think? So here's the pages where they talked about Abraham Lincoln. Now we know he faced many challenges. What was he known for? Should we reread these pages? I think so.
The statue of him in the huge chair was awesome, Haley said. He looked like a giant. That's because he was an important figure in our past. He led our country during a time when the northern and southern states were at war, said Dad. The Gettysburg Address.
So there's one important thing. He led our country, right? But he also did other things. He faced many challenges. He saved the country and helped to end slavery. And that's in the second
He looked
paragraph.
very serious, added Parker. He was serious, explained Mom. President Lincoln faced many challenges. He saved the country and helped to end slavery. He was also known for his great speeches.
So right there are our 2 things that question is asking us for. The 2 important things that Abraham Lincoln did that Mom told the kids. Good answers, boys and girls. You guys did an amazing job with that today. So, because we finished our story, it's now time for you to do some independent work. Now, if you have any questions or you want to revisit a word, you can of course go back into your text and rewatch this video. Otherwise, you are going to do your vocabulary work today with all of the big words that we have learned. Okay? So, we're going to read each sentence and write the word from the box that completes each sentence. And this is on page 199. Okay? Read each word, stretch it out. Some of these words aren't very easy to read, but you can do it. I know you can. Read the sentence, find the word that fits and makes the most sense. Beautiful handwriting. Yes. On the back, you're drawing a line to match each word to its definition. Okay, so you'll read, for example, number 1 is archives. Archives is where you keep something safe, right? Good. And if you want, you can rewind this video and pause it where I have listed all of your definitions, so that could help you. Okay? You're going to find where archives is. Is it A, official announcement, B, something that serves as a reminder of an event where people died, C, things that are hard to do, and so on. You're going to keep reading those. Okay, I want you to read independently. Try to read on your own without any help. But if you need help, raise your hand. Have a wonderful day. Get all that work done. Do your best, and I will see you later.